Grief is not a problem to solve. It's a human experience to move through, and most of us were never taught how. I'm Dr. Heather Taylor, licensed psychologist and grief specialist. Welcome to Grief is the New Normal, where we change the conversation around loss one honest episode at a time. Let's get into it. Hey friends, welcome back to Grief is the New Normal. I'm Dr. Heather Taylor, licensed therapist, grief specialist, and your guide through all the messy, complicated, beautifully human territory that comes with loss. Today we're kicking off something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's a 6-part series on the 6 major categories or buckets of grief reactions. We're talking physical, emotional, cognitive, behavioral, social, and spiritual existential. 6 episodes, 6 lenses, one very big picture of what it actually means to grieve. And we're starting exactly where grief starts, in your body. Because before you can name it, before you can even think it, your body already knows. It's already responding. And if you've ever thought, why does my chest feel like someone is sitting on it? Why am I exhausted when I haven't done anything? Why does my stomach drop every single time I remember they're gone? I need you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not falling apart. You are grieving, and your body knows exactly what it's doing. So here's what we're covering today. Why is grief a whole body experience, not just an emotional one? The most common physical symptoms and why they're completely normal. What's actually happening in your nervous system when you lose someone. Why grief sometimes only shows up in the body, especially in certain cultural, familial, or developmental contexts, and some real practical ways to take care of the body that is holding all of this. So let's get into it. Here's something I want you to sit with for a moment. Grief doesn't wait for your mind to catch up. It moves into your body first. Sometimes before you've even consciously understood that something has shifted. That tightness in your chest that showed up in the morning after the funeral, that's not necessarily anxiety. That could be grief. The jaw tension you've been carrying for weeks, grief. The way your shoulders have been living somewhere around your ears like they're trying to hold the weight of the world, grief. And yes, some people just, again, for context, we have pre-existing diagnoses before grief happens. So some of these things could be presenting as other diagnostic symptoms. And it's also important to understand that grief can show up in this way too. So here's a metaphor that I find really helpful. Think of your body like a sponge. It absorbs everything, every shock, every loss, every moment when the world as you knew it rearranged itself. The sponge takes it in, and at some point it starts to drip. Not because you're weak, but because you're full. It's full. Now, here's where it gets especially important, and I want to be really intentional here because this isn't just a universal human experience. The way grief moves through your body is also cultural and contextual. So if you grew up in a home or a community where emotional expression wasn't modeled, where crying was weakness, where sadness got spiritualized, where keeping it together was the highest virtue, then your body likely learned to be the grief carrier. Because if emotions can't come out through expression, they're going to come out somewhere, and the body's always listening. Same goes for children. Kids don't have the developmental language to say, I'm scared that things will never feel safe again, or I miss them and I don't know what to do with that. So instead, they get stomach aches, headaches, they become clingy or shut down, or they start acting out in ways that don't look like grief at all. So the adults around them sometimes miss it entirely. Grief doesn't wait for words, it moves through the body. And when we miss that, we miss the whole picture. So let's talk some examples. Let me give you a list. And as I go through this, I want you to notice if you check any of these boxes, because so many people I work with think something is medically wrong with them when their body starts doing these things. They go to the doctor, they Google, they go on, if you're on old school, they went on WebMD, and they convince themselves it's something sinister. And sometimes, yes, always rule out medical causes, but often it's grief. Here's how grief can commonly show up physically. 1, fatigue, not regular tired. We're talking bone deep, can't explain it exhaustion, the kind where you slept 8 hours and still feel like you got hit by a truck. Number 2, chest tightness or heart palpitations. The physical sensation of a broken heart is real. Research has actually documented something called tak, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, colloquially known as broken heart syndrome, where emotional stress causes measurable changes in the heart muscle. Grief literally reaches into your chest and changes things. 3, appetite changes. Some people can't eat, others can't stop. Neither is wrong. Both are the body trying to regulate itself through something unregulatable. GI issues. Your gut and your brain are in constant conversation. It's called the gut brain axis. We talk about having a second brain in our stomachs. So when your nervous system is dysregulated by loss, your gut knows. Nausea, IBS flares, cramping, diarrhea, constipation, all of it can be grief related. Headaches and tension pain. Grief lives in our muscles too. The jaw, the neck, the upper back, these are lower back for me. These are grief's favorite real estate areas. Number 6, are we on 6? I don't even know what number we're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was right. Number 6, sleep disruption, insomnia, waking up at 3 a.m. with that horrible moment of forgetting and then remembering, sleeping too much because consciousness is too hard right now. All of it normal. Panic-like symptoms, racing heart, shallow breathing, feeling like something is very wrong even when you can't name it. Your nervous system is in alarm mode. Muscle aches with no clear source. When people come to me and say, I feel like I've been in a car accident, but I didn't do anything, I always ask, have you had a loss recently? And then lastly, dissociation, that weird floaty feeling of being in your body, but not quite in your body, almost like you're watching your own life from the outside, kind of like you're back here and you're just watching yourself exist in this movie. That's your system protecting you when reality is too much to absorb all at once. So none of these are failures. None of these are you being dramatic. They are your body waving the grief flag loudly, persistently, and for good reasons. Okay. Story time with Heather. So something I talk about often with a variety of clients is the impact of Griefiversaries. And these are those days when we know that they're going to be more griefy focused or emotionally challenging. And they're going to be more emotionally challenging. And we know that we're going to feel pain because that's when we think about grief, like it's painful, right? And so what do we start to do? We start to brace for impact. So what is my automatic physical reaction when I'm bracing for impact? I clench my fists. I start to tighten my body, almost like you're about to go down a roller coaster hill. And it's like you are grabbing onto the bar, you are tightening your body. You're not relaxing into it. You're like bracing into it because you know it's going to rock you. And that buildup can happen a month, weeks, days before the actual grief anniversary or grief-related loss event. And so what is that doing? That's draining our bodies physically. So by the time we get to the day, we are full lockdown, clenched up tight, bracing for this emotional wave impact. We make it through the day by the skin of our teeth and we release. And what happens? Not only the flood of emotions that we've been holding off, but our body is exhausted. We are probably more irritable. We are feeling pain in our body. Like the mental gymnastics we went through to prepare for that grief anniversary day has a physical impact on us. And especially in early acute grief, you have all of these little moments that are building up and it's like we're bracing for each one. And that reminder that that our reality has shifted, it can feel like an assault. It just knocks it out of us. And so I think it's important to understand that like navigating grief significantly impacts our physical bodies and all that we're holding. For me, even now, and I'm I'm 17 years into my loss, right? And even on the Griefiversary in November, I tend to try to get a massage or acupuncture around that time because I know my body is more activated than normal. January's also become a bit of an activating month for me since my heart failure diagnosis. And so it's just like, what are the extra things I can do to take care of this body that's holding me through these complicated emotions that I'm navigating in these different times of year. And I think that's helpful to bring awareness that like we do need extra support and it's good to ask and receive receive support. So your nervous system in grief mode. Let's talk about it, right? What's actually happening underneath all of this? Because I think it helps to understand the why, not just so we can fix it, but so we can stop being afraid of it. So when you experience a significant loss, your nervous system interprets it as a threat, a danger signal. It doesn't matter if the death was expected or peaceful or a long time coming. Your attachment system, the part of your brain and body that is wired for connection with the people who matter the most, just got severed. And the body responds the way it's designed to respond to danger. It protects, it braces, it mobilizes for survival. This this is the work of your autonomic nervous system, particularly what researcher Stephen Porges calls the polyvagal system. In basic terms, your body is toggling between states, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and sometimes fawn. And that move toward appeasement or caretaking, which a lot of grievers do because caring for others is easier than sitting with their own pain. Most of us in grief bounce between all four of these, and sometimes in the same hour. That's why grief can feel so physically exhausting because your system is working hard. It's not being dramatic. It's doing exactly what millions of years of evolution designed it to do in the face of loss and threat. And the exhaustion isn't weakness. It's just the cost of your nervous system doing its job. So think of it this way. Imagine your body is like a smoke detector. Grief just set off every alarm in the building. The detector is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, right? It doesn't know the fire is what is one you had to let burn. It just knows the smoke is real. So, what do you do with all this? I'd love to bring in a piece of my stay framework here, specifically the first step, the first pillar, which is slow down. Not slow down as in suppress. We can't tame it till we name it. We got to regulate to feel and process. Like, not slowing down as in pushing through, slowing down as in creating space before you react. Because when grief is hitting your body hard, the reflex is usually to either white knuckle through it or spiral into fear about what's happening. And both of those responses take you further from your body, not closer. So here are some ways to actually do that. One, name what's happening out loud if you can. There's research behind this. Daniel Siegel calls it name it to tame it. When you label what's happening in your body, this is grief, not a heart attack. This is my nervous system responding to a loss, not a sign I'm falling apart. Literally. You engage your prefrontal cortex and it gently interrupts the alarm spiral. So try it. I'm not lazy. I'm grieving. I'm not broken. I'm overwhelmed. My body is processing something too big for words. Number 2, find one grounding ritual and make it yours. Not 10 things, one. A walk, a bath, a playlist that lets you feel it, a stretch routine. The keyword is repeatable, meaning consistent and actually able to follow through. Your nervous system craves predictability when everything else feels unpredictable. So giving it an anchor, making a micro move, a micro choice, a micro shift, doing one thing consistently can really help tether when everything is spiraling around you. Number 3, think regulation before productivity. This is where so many grievers get stuck. They're trying to function at 100% while their system is in full alarm mode. It doesn't work. You cannot think your way into a regulated nervous system. You have to move through the body first. Cold water on your face activates that dive reflex and slows your heart rate. A weighted blanket applies gentle pressure that signals safety to your nervous system. Slow, intentional movement, not to burn calories, to come home to your body. So asking yourself, What helps me feel like I'm back in my body? Let's start there. And lastly, 4, let go of the idea that grief is only emotional. This is embodied grief. Your body isn't overreacting. It isn't in the way. It isn't something to manage so you can get to the quote unquote real grief work. This is part of the grief work, and your body has every right to be exhausted by it. So, before we close, I want to give you a moment to actually land in this because information without integration is just noise. So, here's your invitation. Close your eyes or gaze gently downward, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Take one slow breath in and out. And ask yourself, where does grief live in my body right now? Maybe it's in your chest or your throat or your shoulders. Maybe it's behind your eyes or just in the heaviness of your limbs. And maybe you can't even find it, and that's okay too. Whatever it is or isn't, I want you to just acknowledge it, not try to fix it, not try to analyze it. Just let that part of you be seen for a second. I see you. I know you're carrying something. You're doing the best you can. And that's enough. So, here's what I want you to walk away with today. Grief doesn't just live in your heart, it lives in your back pain, your sleepless nights, your stomach aches, your jaw, your breath. It lives in the bone deep exhaustion and the way the world feels a little too loud and a little too bright. You're not weak for feeling it physically, you are human. And if you grew up in a context where emotional expression wasn't safe or wasn't modeled, your body learned to be the grief carrier. And that's not a flaw in your design, that's just adaptation. And now, maybe for the first time, you get to meet it with some compassion instead of confusion. For the kids in your life who are grieving, and there may be some, watch the body signals, the stomach aches, the restlessness, the sudden clinginess or withdrawal. That's the language grief uses before words are sometimes available. And for you, your body is carrying what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. Let it, support it, thank it for getting you this far. So this week, your one invitation is this: asking yourself once a day, where does grief live in my body today? And then give that part of you something gentle without needing to fix it. I always tell my clients, like, what does that suffering part of me need right now? So thinking about that, what does that suffering part of you need today? That's the work. It's quiet work. It's brave work. So thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to check out the next episode in this 6-part section, 6-part series, talking about the different buckets grief shows up in. So we'll see you next time. Remember to be kind to yourselves and take care. That's a wrap on today's episode. If something landed for you, share it, because grief deserves more space in the world, not less. You can find show notes, resources, and more at thedrheathertaylor.com. And if no one has said it to you today, your grief is real, it matters, and you don't have to carry it alone. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.